Oh, there it is. Now
Mm.
the
Oh,
end stream button is
can't
lit
reach
up,
the
which means the
bottles.
go live button is showing.
I'm unprepared.
You're unprepared, but
I
you're
got
you
it.
no no hold on
I got it.
hold on wait oh stop wait hold on. You're the Leo. You're always prepared.
I drop the ball there.
I'm supposed to like to mock your preparedness and go along with it, anyway. At least outwardly, begrudgingly. Like this is, we have roles to play,
All
Jarrod.
right.
That's what I'm. See, look at this. Using what is going on here? I don't like it.
Pandemonium.
It is. There is pandemonium going on. All right, now bottle clinking, and then I'm going to answer the question I've had to answer about 103 million times thus far. It'd be hold on this question here. I'll put the question up. It's up. Go ahead. Do your thing, Jarrod. I'll do my thing. New Warriors come out to play. What bottles are those, by the way?
Diet Frosty root beer.
Are those the same bottles that you always clink?
Always clank with the old mustaches on them.
Oh, nice. Adorned with old mustaches and whatnot. Oh yeah, I should do the introduction before I ask questions. You would think that it has been like several months since I've done this and not pretty much 4 weeks to the day. But anyway, come out to play. Welcome, y'all. It's a New Warriors podcast and stuff. I'm Delvin, also known as the Dark Web. If you're watching this on YouTube or whatever way you're listening, we'd love for you to hit the like and subscribe button now. The question, it was up here before Jarrod took it down.
I just clicked put up the what? Did they?
It's covered. It's covering the question. Here, I'll do it again.
Oh, okay. Has the main banner always gone away when we put up a question? Maybe it has.
I didn't think it
with
did.
The question. Welcome to episode 1 of to play as we figure out how podcasting and live streaming works.
I still figure that out every single time. There's always a new thing to learn here or there. Anyway, the question, Scott, you stop it with the ice with it. And now chewing. Anyway, the question, Scott asked, who's the teenager on Delvin's screen? It's me. It's Delvin.
You can take a poll in the chat. I've told everybody, I was like, Delvin always looks better without the beard. I've said this for years. Everyone in the chat can go ahead and just let you know. You do look better.
It's not up for polling. I never asked anyone their opinion on how I look or don't look. My opinion is what matters the most. Christina Aguilera once said, "You are beautiful, no matter what they say." Words
look at me.
Can't bring you down. she was singing that. It's a little known fact, Jarrod, specifically to me. It was me that she was singing it to.
That's cool.
I know, right? And I'm beautiful in every single way. And then, like, if you listen real closely, like you can listen afterwards. She's like, "You're beautiful in every single way." It's like,
oh, nice. Got a shout
out. I hear it. I listen for it every time, and I hear it. Scott asked, "Who's the teenager on Delvin's screen?" It's still me, Scott. Hold on. It's been since Thursday. I told the barber to take it all down. And there's a reason for it. I'm going to grow out my beard again, and I am not shaving it for the rest of the year. So
here on the show, Delvin will look progressively more homeless each episode.
Yes,
that's something for people to look forward to.
Delvin will have a bigger beard with each episode. I'm saying that in a much friendlier and kinder way than Jarrod did.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's right, Jarrod. You don't get it. You don't. But you better shut that ice up. That's all I know. And I should say hello to other people. Eric Porter was first to chime in. He couldn't wait for his second live episode. He gets this BS for about 5 minutes, but he did promise to not reveal any spoilers this time, except that this will probably be another excellent episode.
Wrong. Wrong.
Wrong again. Wrong. Matt Paso is back. Thank you for coming and joining us, Matt. Heinz Cook. We got a pronunciation. It is Heinz Cook, and he says good evening. And he's also our newest Crusaders Club member, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right, Jarrod?
Yes, he is the newest one. We could always use more for just $1 a month. Go to patreon.com, check out LONGBOX CRUSADE. I'm certain I have a banner for that. There you go.
Yep, there it is. Scrolling across now. Jason Lady, and Kathy, Bright MVP, Bot Boy Versus, Clark Westfield. It's his first time catching one of these live. I hope we haven't scared you away. We have Trey Black as well. Did I miss anyone? Let's see. Matt Paso came in with a theory, says, don't believe my story. His theory is time traveling Delvin, who is reading the New Warriors for the first time, to join all first time.
You know, the irony there is right before we clicked go on air, we were listening to One More Try by Timmy T, which is more evidence that we've time traveled back to the early 90s.
Jarrod was listening to Tony T. I was
Timmy T. You show some respect.
Jarrod was listening to Tiny T, and so hold on, we're forgetting Jim Meal. It says that his wife gets upset if he shaves his beard off. I tell you what, Jim, as you can tell from one of my oldest friends here, Jarrod, and like I have gotten mixed reviews. Some was like, "Oh, dude, you absolutely should keep it off." My father-in-law said, "I love it. You should keep it off." My mom, who is awesome, says, like, you look good with or without the beard. So I appreciate you. Shut up. She shut your mouth. She means it sincerely. Even though, like, what I told her on the comment was, I was like, you're only saying that because you're my mom. And it's funny because it's a callback because, you know, I would be down on myself or whatever as a kid or teenager, and she would always give me some great compliment. And I would always say, you're only saying that because you're my mom. So, yeah, there is that. I have not introduced, by the way, Jarrod Albrecht, the yard sale artist, sometimes on his Death Probe, Nova to my Night Thrasher when it comes to this show. And Jarrod normally has a question for me, so he should go ahead with that.
All right, I've got a question for you, and I realize another early 90s thing we have going on here is my shirt. Anyways, my question for you is ridiculously simple this year, which is good since we took up a lot of time with BS about your beard and lack thereof. Tonight's comic book features, I don't know if this bird team has a specific name.
I think it's Air Force.
Air Force. Okay, yeah, that's right. What's your favorite bird? Exactly. All right.
So those who are listening to this podcast form, I happen to have on an Auburn Tigers shirt with, you know, our motto, War Eagle. It's a big old eagle on it. Like I'm showing it to the people listening. Like so, and you know the bald eagle. It's emblematic of America, the greatest country that's ever lived. Right. So. The eagle, right? Yeah.
Just a quick aside for those of you who don't go to Auburn. People are always like, how come you're the Tigers, but you say War Eagle? None of your damn business. But also, there is a Raptor Center in Auburn where they take wounded raptors and they heal them. And sometimes those raptors become the birds that fly at the game. It's usually a golden eagle, sometimes a bald eagle, that will fly around the stadium at the ball game, land on the 50-yard line. It's quite the sight to see.
So I'm imagining that your answer is the same.
Why not?
I take that as a yes. And since we have taken up enough of your time, thank you so much for joining us. Come out to play as a chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. First volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues, which we seem to be going at a very fast clip, even though it's just once a month. Jarrod and I will cover all of this first volume as I rediscover my love for the series, help Jarrod find his, and we share our love and joy with the listening audience. So grab your skateboards and bucket helmets. It's time to play. We are talking New Warriors issue 35. Some joker did not update who drew the cover. The cover is by Craig Brassfield, and I believe his name is Jeff Albrecht.
It's a good name. It's close.
Sketchy. A little pitchy, dog. It's a bit pitchy. And Jarrod has the cover up, and we are going to talk about the cover. I'll let Jarrod describe it in his own inimitable style. Go for it, Jarrod.
All right. Okay, the New Warriors. The logo is kind of very 90s. It's that sort of hot pink with yellow enhancements on top of the blue, like powder blue background. The corner box is also powder blue with the hot pink Marvel Comics logo in it. It features Speedball.
Speedy.
And the cover is basically 4 New Warriors headshots, and each head is inside of a target, and it is Nova, Namorita, Turbo, male version.
You got it right.
I thought about it, got it right. Male version Turbo, and Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon.
Mickey Musashi,
right, the other Turbo minus the costume. Like the boy Turbo and the girl Turbo are splitting time with the costume.
Yes,
it'll all make sense in the issue.
Time splitting Turbo. I got a little bit of knowledge, or we did. Jason Lady chimes in and says the cover is an homage to an Alpha Flight cover. That might explains why nobody knew it.
Is he trying to is he trying to get like co-host status again? Oh, the cover's in homage. Nobody likes to show off.
So let's see. In about 10 seconds, we offended Alpha Flight fans and Jason Lady.
And Jason Lady specifically. And Delvin's beard.
And Delvin's beard. You know, we are quite at the offensive live stream here. By the way, Scott O'Neill says that he doesn't question anyone's mascot. He teaches at Arkansas Tech. We have a brand ambassador, Jerry the Bulldog, and different names for the women's and men's teams. For the women's, the Golden Sons, and the men's, the Wonder Boys.
Yeah, they need to have a meeting to get that all worked out.
Yeah, it's Arkansas Tech. I'm gonna imagine they don't draw huge crowds, but I could be wrong. Like I've been wrong before.
Of those choices, I will go with Golden Sons. I like the Golden Sons.
I'm gonna go with Wonder Boys, and I mean they already have
even
a
the
song.
Women's teams.
Exactly. Yes,
I like it.
They got a Tenacious D song already. Take me away from the mucky muck. It's right there. It's right there.
Like when the women's basketball team takes the court, they're like the Lady Wonder Boy.
Yeah, people in the crowd confused. Anyways, have you described this cover yet?
I did. I described it. Oh, I did forget to mention that I didn't finalize it. All these heads in the crosshairs seem to be coming from a red gloved hand that has a gauntlet on it, which I'm pretty sure is Cardinal's hand, because at the top it says Cardinal has, and then New Warriors logo, targeted for trouble. That sounds like something RoboCop would say. Targeted for trouble. There you go. There's your cover.
I also like the box where you would normally get the UFC. Is it UFC or UPC?
UPC.
Thank you, UPC. But if you got it in a comic book store, you would see that it is 3 other people who appeared in the book, which was Night Thrasher, Cloak, and Dagger. You know, Cloak is speaking in the background, you know, all sort of hidden, but you can see him if you look. Very fitting of Cloak. So they did a good job. I guess I'll go into my description. They did a good job of putting everyone who was in the book on the cover. So that part of it gets a huge plus for me. The minus, and it's just every time I look at the cover, it just immediately turns me off, is like how Nova was drawn. I don't like
helmet's too big.
Yes, it looks like
or face is too small.
Yeah, if he took off his helmet, he would have an 8 head. It wouldn't just be a 4 head. He looks like Peyton Manning. especially Peyton Manning's later years. And something about that just distracts me. And a part of me is like, it also makes Cardinal seem like he's a terrible shot because of him counting. He has taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other shots and not hit a single warrior. So there is that part of it too. Even though 7, 8, I'm missing a few shots. So like he has shot all over the place and he has hit nary a warrior, not even Boy Turbo, who is not a good Turbo.
Here's a deep cut for you. Somewhere a little digital dog pokes up, goes, arf, arf, arf. If you got it, sound off in the chat.
If you got it, sound off in the chat, and you probably have the volume of this live stream turned up anyway, so you can keep hearing it. Jarrod, what do you think about the cover?
I like it. I mean, immediately when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is clearly a different artist, a guest artist. But it's not bad. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a guest artist. Like, it's decent. It's unique. You don't see a lot of covers like this. It's more of a concept cover. So you actually have a lot of layers going on. You have the hand in the foreground. The floating target things allows you to get the different characters on there. I think they're done well, aside from the misshapen head of Nova. The background is kind of neat and techie with the bullet holes in it. And what really sells it for me is that 90s coloring of the logo. That, and I admitted on a previous episode, I was kind of digging Cardinal. So it was kind of like, oh, Cardinal's back. So there's a lot of pluses for me, even with a less than regular artist.
Okay. Quick comment from Eric Porter says, Silhouette also appears in the book. And if you look carefully enough in the cover, she's there, just hiding in the shadows.
Mm-hmm. Gotta look in the shadowy spot.
Gotta look in the shadowy spot. I'm just gonna leave that up to anyone's imagination. I described the cover. You described the cover. We should probably rate the cover. We do that here on Come Out to Play on a scale of 1 to 10 nightsticks. Truncheons if we're feeling fancy, but I wasn't feeling fancy today. And we're going to rate the cover. Feel free to rate along in the chat if you like to, like Trey Black did. He says a 7 for him, not feeling the art style, but the concept brings it above average. What do you think, Jarrod?
100% agree. I was going to say the same thing for the same reasons. I think artistically, it's probably around a 6 for me, but concept raises it up. I love the coloring scheme. So that's like a tip of the cap to the letterer, maybe the colorist. I don't know who makes that final cover dress decision, to be honest with you. But yeah, just enough to get it to a 7, even though it's not a regular penciler, which I think says a lot.
It does say a lot. And so what Mr. Brassfield suffers from and Mr. Albrecht suffer from is the normal creative teams on New Warriors are really good. Between Bagley and Malstead and then Robertson and Malstead, you just have primo artists. Bagley is one of the tops in my book, and you got Derek, he's up there. He may not be where Bagley is in my eyes personally, but he's also very good. I think he's below that, and since I'm going to give it a 6. And I will say that the concept of it is a good concept. It's one that I've seen before. I didn't relate it to being an Alpha Flight cover, but that's okay. I do think that it's good, just above average. So 6 is where it lands for me. Botboy Versus gives it a 7. Also, Matt Passo gives it a 7 for the neon pink. AU Kathy gives it a 7, says it's interesting, but it doesn't make her have to buy it. And that's all the ratings that we have for now. If we get a few more, I will come back to them. But we will now bring it to Jarrod, who's going to read the creative team and credits for the issue.
Yes, I will. This is New Warriors number 35. Its on sale date was March 23rd, 1993. Its cover date was May of 93. Cover price $1.25. Story by Fabian Nicieza. Pencils by Craig Brassfield. Inks by Jeff Albrecht. Colors by Joe Rosas. Letters by Joe Rosen. And edited by Rob Tokar. Enter your own Ninja Turtles 2 joke. Thanks to Mike's Amazing World. And I think it's time for Delvin to give us a synopsis.
It is Trey Black Ads, by the way. He checked out the Alpha Flight cover and says that Byrne did it better. I mean, come on, man.
John Byrne drew it better than this guy?
That's like me doing a two-handed dunk or something. It's like, well, Michael Jordan did it better. Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. He probably did it better. In any event, the quick story synopsis, the title of this book is Hawks and Dove. Hawks and Doves. Few storylines occurred in this issue of the New Warriors, the main one being Nova and Turbo against the Air Force. We now know that both Mickey and Mike wear the armor, but only one can wear it at a time. So how is that going to work out in this fight? And we're going to talk about it. Jared's going to bring up a few pages from the book. We're going to talk about those few pages, and a discussion follows. Up to you, Jared.
I can do that. Excuse me. All right, I will bring up the page. The first one I brought is actually not page 1. It's pages 2. It's pages 2 and 3. It's a 2-page spread of the Air Force, the Flying Bird bad guys, just to establish kind of who the bad guys are. Also has the cover credits on it. Really just more for the, showcasing of the art of Craig Brassfield and the establishing of the bird folk who will serve as the foils for this issue.
So I was looking up in Mike's Amazing World, and his name is E. Craig Brassfield. I don't know what the E stands for. I did not even click on the link to ask. But if someone in the comments knows, I'm guessing Eric. I mean, that seems like a,
I think it stands for not jumper.
So I tell you what, this splash page, it gave me hope artistically for the rest of the book, because I was not a huge fan of the art on the cover and mentally had it rated lower than what I gave it as a 6 here. But I was convinced to talk it up a little bit, which is absolutely okay, to be convinced to be a more positive person. And looking at this splash page, I'm like, okay, he at least has a handle, particularly on Cardinal. Old girl in the back, I'm not going to remember the name. The one with the Archangel-esque wings. I thought that's kind of particularly well drawn. I think that's she, looks like a bird of prey. I know Killer Shrike. I have heard of Killer Shrike before. And I've heard of Cardinal, but I've not heard of one of them is named Tanager, and I'm already blanking on the fourth one. I don't know their name.
No, I think I when I saw Killer Shrike, the first thing I thought was, I know this guy. And I want to say I know him from a McFarlane era Amazing Spider-Man comic. That's what my Spider-Man sense, like in the sort of that early McFarlane era. I think he brought in Killer Shrike. Prepared to be wrong, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I am drawing a blank on why I know Killer Shrike, but that's all I got. Jason Lady, thank you, Jason. Our third host here says that I think she's Sparrow. So Sparrow and Tanager. Sparrow is not a villain name that strikes fear in your heart. You're not going to be like, oh no, I got to go up against Sparrow. Yeah.
You're going to want to use that sparrowingly.
Next page, please.
I got
Oh boy.
I got one more. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Hang on. I have a last minute update. Boom, I was right. Killer Shrike. Todd McFarlane era Spider-Man.
Good find. It wasn't early in his run, since he had been there for about 10 or 12
well, I consider anything within the I guess in his run, he didn't run that long, did he?
he was there until the late 320s, I think.
Yeah, I was just say I kind of consider early him I was gonna say anything before 320, but then I was like, he pretty much left like right after 320. So my logic makes no sense.
No, your logic's okay. Like if you're doing the math, this is an action film face-off. This is come out to play. That will be within the first year of his run.
Maybe mid McFarlane, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, that's. I knew. I was like, I feel like I know him from McFarlane era Spider-Man, and I just looked it up real quick and found it. All right, that was fun. Anyways, let's go on with the story. What brings us to this page? There's, just letting the viewers and listeners know, there's not a lot of huge movements in the story in this issue. It's a lot of this page that I have up. It's a lot of Nova training the Turbos, giving them training that they desperately need. We saw how male Turbo fared in the Darkness storyline, which was, barely getting by.
Mike.
I still think, Mike. I think I still have this feeling like he's going to meet with a not great end at some point. But we'll see. But yeah, I basically picked this one because it's the main premise of the book, of the training of the heroes. And I've mentioned on previous episodes too, I was keeping an eye on these Turbos, especially because I'm always leery of found superpowers. Like they didn't really earn it. They just sort of found this suit and like, hey, we're superheroes, And so it's nice to see probably one of the more experienced heroes of the team, Nova, taking that seriously and working with them. So I thought that was something I was looking for when we first met these characters, and it looks like it's paying off.
You know who else was a found superhero? Darkhawk. Darkhawk was.
Yes, he was. Yes,
Darkhawk. Yes. I just happened to notice. I feel a little bit ashamed looking at this, but since I had the thought, and it's my show, I'm going to point it out. That big page with Turbo on it, she's getting that old Spider-Woman treatment, isn't she?
Bottom jeans, boots with the fan.
I'm just saying. I mean, she's getting that treatment, and. So we could talk Turbo very quickly, as it has been pretty clear the handful of times that we've seen Turbo so far, Mickey, the woman, looks pretty proficient in the Turbo gear. From the first time we saw her, not only was she proficient, she also was good in a pinch because she helped out Namorita. Namorita was about to fly off the handle, and she's like, no, you should do that water stuff. I got the air thing. And Namorita's like, okay. So, tactically sound, good in the scrape.
Yep.
Mike.
Not as confident. Needs more time with the gear.
Not as confident. Needs more time with the gear. And even he admitted as much, which is a good thing, at least. At least if you're not proficient at something, admit that you're not proficient at something. Don't act like you are the cock of the walk and you are not the cock of the walk, So I give him credit for that. But that seems to be established canon so far. Mickey, proficient. Mike, not as much.
All right. I will bring up the next page. All right, we do have a little bit of other story going on during this training mission, which, surprise, surprise, will become a real-life mission soon enough. We have Dwayne, who's been off doing miniseries things, sort of rejoining the team, catching up with Silhouette, and talking with Cloak and Dagger, who I mentioned I wouldn't mind seeing join the team. And I got to see in this issue their official offer to be on the team, to which they said no. But again, I'm liking this issue because it's addressing concerns I've brought up. Turbo needs more training. I like Cardinal. Cloak and Dagger would be good fits for this team. I'd like to see that addressed. So it's all coming together here. So that's not too shabby.
Well, first, the suit that Dwayne has on, very 90s. Like, I could see that suit being worn by either Belle, Biv, or DeVoe.
Or, yeah.
Possibly doing like a little dance move there.
Well, I'll be sure. Maybe even Timmy T.
Possibly, like maybe we could find out where he is now and convince him to give this suit. one more try.
One more try. I wanted you to finish. There you go.
Okay, all right. I mean, that pause was pregnant, baby. All right. Scott O'Neill, by the way, says that Dagger is getting the Spider-Woman treatment as well.
Bottom genius.
Agreed. And he, oh yeah, whatever. And so there's that. But there's a few things that went on in only a couple of pages. And this is one of those things that I always smile. Like, if I were to say one thing, and I don't blame him for doing it, by the way, that Fabian did at the time, that looking back, I kind of like, cringe is too strong of a word, but I kind of smile and smirk and shake my head as some of this 90s slang, like Phoebes and bohunk. Like,
yeah. Let me tell you something. I had never heard the term bohunk until this issue. I was like, what is that? That is something he heard on the subway one day. And just like, I'm going to work that. Never heard it before in my life. And I was alive between January 1st, 1990 and December 31st, 1999. And I've never heard it before in my life.
I will say that, I mean, we hung out in college and since college and stuff like that. You never heard me use that phrase for sure. I never heard it growing up where I grew up, and you never heard it growing up where you grew up. So maybe it was a Northeastern thing. Like, comments chime in. If you're from the Northeastern area of the United States, was that a New York area thing of saying bohunk? We don't know. In any event, so, you know, all of that aside, the thing that Fabian is really good at, I'm proud of myself for remembering I had a point there. He combined a few storylines. One, introduction or reintroduction of Night Thrasher. Thrash hadn't been around in a minute, so it's cool to see him again. And even mentioned, hey, I was taking care of business. Then you got Silhouette to mention the events of the past few issues of the Forces of Darkness, Forces of Light storyline. And one of the consequences from that was that Cloak and Dagger worked out with the team, and they politely declined the invitation that Dwayne had. And then Dwayne says, if I kind of need them because I need more heroes. I got this thing that I got going on, this thing where I need more warriors. So that's quite a bit for 2 pages.
I concur. Scott in the chat did some follow-up on the E. Craig. He couldn't find anything, but it says, unfortunately, the artist was diagnosed with ALS a couple of years after this issue.
Well,
and has blog posted about this, but he's staying positive, which is good to hear. Interesting. Well, I hate to hear that, but
same.
Thank you for the research, Scott.
Very quickly, by the way, Miss saying hello to, I believe, Billy Dunleavy came in. So I just wanted to say a quick hello to him. And
Auburn Elvis joined us.
Yes.
Well.
Auburn Elvis joined us too. So hello to Auburn Elvis.
Showed up specifically to make sure that I don't use the term torpedo.
What term?
Torpedo.
Oh, so yeah, I wanted to mention those points for this page and the page that followed. And then there's even a little other subtle one where Thrash was kind of like, yeah, kind of want to stay here. You want to, girl? I wouldn't mind. Yeah,
been a long time since you left me.
It's been 7 hours and 15 days. Next page.
I will sing more Timmy T if anybody in the chat requests it. All right. There's a little bit of another B storyline going on here with Speedball in his apartment, and his like super chippy howdy neighbors like basically says, yeah, I totally know that you're a superhero. And Speedball's like, what? And that's kind of like the scene.
That is the scene. His name is Carlton Lafroige. Might be worth remembering, might not. Probably is if I brought it up. And Fabian's brought him up. I mean, during the Forces of Darkness, Forces of Light storyline, he was brought up, and he happened to come across, it looks like a little scrap album that Mrs. Her name is not Baldwin, but Robbie's mom had kept of somebody that looked a lot like Robbie. And so looks like Carlton put 2 and 2 together and highly suspects that Robbie is a superhero. Now, that said, man, Robbie could have played that off a little bit better than he did.
Yes.
like if I were gallivanting around Charlotte as dark web, and then you're like, yeah, blah blah blah, superhero, I wouldn't be like, oh. He's like
what? Yeah, that's crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
You crazy. It's like, dude, he's 6'3". He has a beard, and at one point you actually said, "I am Delvin. I am Dark Web." Oh yeah.
You clearly have no beard, so you can't be.
That's right. I saw that beard. It's fake. It's a phony. You shaved the beard. Damn it. So yeah,
hey, Bruce,
I think.
Oh, dang it.
Oh, I think that Robbie could have played it off a little bit better. So
it's very comic booky though, with the big expressions and I do like the panel layout, of the shocked, it sits nicely with the regular square 6-panel page outline there, but it gives it that little oomph there at the bottom. So from a comic craft point of view, I like it.
I do too, and I don't, especially since it's clear that Fabian is doing, for whatever reason, it reminded me of Chris Claremont, that kind of abrupt break in the main storyline to, hey, let's check in on the Warriors. I'm sure it's been done in many other team books, but for whatever reason, Claremont and X-Men, this is what it reminded me of. I think it was a very good, quick storytelling, and I'll give Mr. Brassfield credit for doing a good job on this page.
Concur. All right. We have but 2 pages left. Okay, and as we're checking in on the other ones, apparently Namorita has become bizarrely irresponsible. And she's gone from har, har, har. Every panel she's been into, she's clearly out. I mean, she can have fun all she wants, but it seems like she's maybe going a little too far. So has to have other people look out for her. It's always dangerous when you have that power level and you're not necessarily in control. So that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, she's even making up words that no one's ever heard of, like bohunk alert. I was like, why? This page bothered me too, probably because of the term I never heard. And I was like, all of a sudden you have this very, very mature leader of the team just acting like a drunken 16, 17-year-old girl. It just felt weird. I don't know if he's going somewhere with this. Maybe she needed this release after all the pressures that she's had from the going to the other country or whatever. It just felt off.
She has had pressures. There was that whole Transabal thing, right? And then during the Transabal thing, then there's the second encounter with Jeremy Running Bear, the sea urchin. Then
still maintain his real name is better than his villain name.
Agreed. And then she had to take on field leadership of the New Warriors, something that she was basically thrust into after Night Thrasher abruptly left. So, there's that. Then she was turned as a result of having all that conflict into that dark version of herself. She was being manipulated by the Dark Force or by Darkling, one or the other. So she has had a run of some traumatic events that went on.
Yeah, she definitely could be overcompensating. That's what I'm hoping. Otherwise, I'm just like, this just feels very, very, very weird.
Well, I will grant you the weird, but and you didn't say this, by the way, where I would have stopped you is if you'd have said this is out of character, in the sense that, yes, it is, but also, yes, it was established, if you get what I'm saying. By the way, Scott O'Neill said he lived and grew up in the New York area, never heard the term bohunk before.
They made it up.
So I feel like asking Fabian now, dude, bohunk?
Well, Kathy mentioned earlier that it was in one of the John Hughes movies. I can't remember which one she called out. I'd have to scroll back to find it. 16 Candles, maybe. I'm sorry, I forgot which movie it was, but she called out that she heard it in a movie once, so maybe he did too. And you know what else is weird about this?
Go for it.
Just from a storytelling point of view, I'm no Fabian Nicieza, but I did write Hamilton versus Burr, Werewolf Tale, available at my website. There's the Inks Only cover Mark Catherley and I did. Anyway, where was I?
I don't know.
I'm no great storyteller, but if you have a woman like Namorita out at the club, does she need to go searching for bohunks? No. They come to her. Trust me, they do. Like, I just think it's weird that she's like bohunk. I'm like, wouldn't it seems like that would go the other way.
I agree with you mostly on that. However, I mean, I would have to be one of those people who just attracted a crowd at a club to know this.
Yeah, I'm working only from theory.
I too am working only from theory. If I were a center of attraction and there was someone that I saw that I were very attracted to, then I might, because you know how it is. I think even if you're the coolest, cucumber in the garden, and you happen to see that person that just absolutely did it for you, you might get a little bit gaga for that person too.
That's fair. It's fair.
It's
fair. Well, I guess we'll see what happens.
Probably, because they didn't go back to this storyline.
No, this is like it. This is like the one page. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which is going to bring us to the final page. We actually did 6 pages of it. There's a lot of check-in. And I just kind of picked this one because we did a lot of the check-in pages. Earlier, I set up and said, hey, there's a lot of Nova training the turbos in this one.
Yeah.
And that's your main throughput. And then we did all the check-in pages. So you kind of have to mentally go, okay, these check-in pages are happening there's a lot of training going on. And then what happens, surprise, surprise, is the Bird Squad or the Air Force shows up in the middle of training and starts attacking Nova and the turbos. One of which is wearing the suit, which is the male one. Is it Mike? Mike is
literally
wearing the
your
suit,
father's name,
which is not ideal because he's not the best at it. But what it does is it gives an opportunity for Mike to gain some serious experience. It gives Nova the ability to show his strength and leadership, even though these are some, what I would consider some seriously B team villains. Although I like Cardinal and I remembered Killer Shrike. It seems like these would be some fairly easy wins for Nova, but I did like that they addressed that even with a powerful guy like Nova, he can be overcome by sheer numbers. And there's like 5 of these guys, I think 5. And that's a tough
4.
spot to be in. 4. Okay. Tough spot for him to be in, no matter what the hero is. Right. And it allows for the lady turbo, which is that Mickey.
Yes.
Okay. It allows Mickey to use her, wits, and we see that on this panel. This is where she's figured out, because they were practicing at this football field, I do believe. She turned the sprinklers on, got them all wet, and then found the main power cord, just kind of tossed it into the mix and fried them all out, which shows that this is why she's better in the turbo suit. She's thinking on her feet. She's thinking more 3-dimensionally. So it gives us an insight to her character. It gives us a little more depth to Nova taking on the mentorship role, and it gives some experience. Mike probably needs to be scared straight, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And this helped. So this is what's going on between all those other pages we looked at.
Yeah, I would, to use a fancier word, I would say that Mickey demonstrated her battle prowess, because she was like, I gotta help here. And of course, Fabian did this on purpose, where Mike puts on the costume, he's shaky, and then immediately gets blasted unconscious and caught off guard by Cardinal. And then, even though this isn't Amazing Spidey Chronicles, if I were to do a silly New Warriors page where Mike at one point was like, how else am I going to learn if I don't try and do things mine? And he gets blasted. And then one of them was like, try running a video, you imbecile. Like, I mean, how are you gonna get blasted and get called an imbecile? Like, like dang, that's just a rough day for Mike. But what I do like is that Mike tried. Like, so you and I just watched The Mechanic, the Jason Statham movie. And if you remember, Jason Statham's protege, played by the young guy whose name was not relevant at the time, he calls Jason because he was literally being held hostage. And he's like, what do I do? And Jason's like, all right, well, you got one hand available. You got to take that. You got to shoot, go left-handed, start shooting. It's like, I'm not good shooting left-handed. And Jason's like, well, die.
You better get good.
You better get good. And he got good. And the reason why I bring that up is Mickey told Mike, is like, I need you to hit the ground right here at full power. It's like, I've never done full power. It's like, you better do it. No better time than now to figure this out, bud. Like, either do it or die. Like, two choices. So choose one. And given those choices, he rose to the occasion. And there is something to be said about that.
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, both turbos acquitted themselves pretty well. Kathy helped us remember that actor's name was Ben Foster in The Mechanic, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I wasn't going to remember either. Mm-hmm. But that is it. I didn't actually put in the last page, which is just a wrap up of them discussing. And then they at the very end, they focus on the scoreboard, and it's home 4, visitor 0. And I guess that's clever because they defeated 4 bird people.
Scott O'Neill caught that. I stared at that thing, man. I was like, what?
I know. I was like, what? I was like, the only explanation I can give is that they defeated 4 people.
And Scott O'Neill agrees. I only remember because of the scoreboard on the last page. And he was saying that there were 4 members of...
okay. All right. It's all coming together. Yeah.
Yep. They weren't the 4 horsemen. They were the 4 birdsmen. So, so yeah, there you go. There it is. I think that is it. We covered even all of the side stories of the book. We covered the main story of the book as well. Before you go into your section, did you have any other comments to add?
Not really. This is just kind of a filler issue, kind of, wrapping up some loose ends, maybe starting some new threads. Just one of those sort of in-betweeners. And, for what it was, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. So before Jarrod does his introductions, like anyone familiar with the show knows what we're about to do next. So go ahead and provide your comments. Jarrod, go for it.
All right. It's time to ask the question that we ask on every episode. Who is the ultimate warrior and who is the ultimate worrier? Who did really well, acquitted themselves well as a warrior, and who are we concerned about as the worrier? Delvin, who's your warrior?
Got a few choices. I'll go with the guy that had to take the main thrust of a lot of that aggression from the Air Force. I'll go with Nova. Nova was put in a couple of compromising spots for him. One, he was sort of thrust in a mantle of not just leadership, but mentorship. And he was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to try and teach you the best that I know how. And even at that, he was helpful. And then he was put in a 4-on-1 situation at one point because his main ally got knocked out immediately. So, there's that part of it. Before you get to yours, Scott asked, I did like the bit about Thrash thinking about needing a bigger talent pool for what he wants to turn the team into. He's been going for the better part of 10 issues, and now he's got big plans. We did discuss that before, but it kind of was worth mentioning again, actually, because it might be coming up in the near future, possibly, maybe. Anyway, Jarrod, who do you have as your ultimate warrior?
Yeah, pretty much Nova. I mean, you kind of already picked him, so I could go with my B option, which would be the Torpedo Kids. They went up against some real competition unexpectedly. They had some highs, they had some lows, they learned a lot about themselves. So sure, let's give it to Team Torpedo.
Team Torpedo. I know that you're trolling Auburn. Elvis there.
I kind of am, but someone in the chat mentioned something about they were worried about me because I wasn't saying it anymore, so I didn't want them to have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's not his distress beacon. He's not like, blinking SOS with his eyes or anything. He's okay. As far as I know, he hasn't texted me 911 or anything like that. So if I were worried about anyone, I like what you're picking up. I'm worried about Namorita too, except
yeah,
I know why I'm worried about Namorita. You don't quite know why, but you seem to have picked something up there.
Well, it's the fact, and I'm worried about her too. It's the fact that she's in a land of extremes. She's either extremely aggressive or she's extremely not and not in control. She's either very in control or very not in control. And I don't see a lot of middle ground with her. And she's been through a lot with the whole darkness got a hold of her thing. So yeah, I'm worried about her.
Yeah, and if you think about it in a sense, that's kind of in true Atlantean fashion, right? Because Namor's kind of like that. Sometimes Namor's like, yeah, man, I'm a businessman and everything is, just how it is. And other times it's Imperious Rex. I will destroy you, surface dwellers. Like, bro, wait, weren't you in a Fortune 500 meeting like 3 hours ago? That was a different me.
I'm running around in my green underpants now.
and Sue Richards is like, I still would. Anyway, I started some comments here. Matt Passo says, Warrior Turbo teams. Warrior, Jarrod no longer using torpedo. We have addressed that.
Took care of that.
Auburn Elva says, Mick is the ultimate warrior. She is better as Turbo. Well, so far, maybe the tide changes. And Jason Lady says Ultimate Warrior is Mickey, continues to prove herself, smart, resourceful, brave, saves the day. Eric Porter says the Warrior was Mickey, who showed she is good even without the suit. Absolutely. Scott O'Neill says Mickey is the Warrior. Nova a close second, considering how much of a loner he was at the beginning of the series. It's nice to see him in this mentor senior member role. Jason Lady says, Ultimate Warrior, Nita, she's in a really bad place. I would definitely say that, if you're going out celebrating, having a good time, it's usually okay to consume an alcoholic beverage or 2 or 3 if you so wish. And I at least give her credit that she had someone chaperoning her, sort of, kind of. But generally speaking, if you're in a bad place, that plus alcohol usually makes for bad decisions. Jarrod, you're about to add something.
You gotta wonder how much she drank with her power and Atlantean chemistry, because I heard she can drink like a fish. But seriously, how much did she drink to get intoxicated with her levels of power?
Intoxicated to the point where she was slurring her words.
That's got to be a lot of alcohol, or maybe she's like super sensitive to it since she is of the ocean. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. I don't think they've ever spoken to Atlantean blood alcohol tolerance. Auburn Elvis posed the question that sometimes, like, since we have just a little bit of time, I will pose the silly question. He asked that we were both in the Air Force. What would we do with a turbo torpedo suit?
I have a good answer for this.
What's your good answer?
Now, if I was forced to be Turbo Torpedo, what would I do is practice, because we also I would practice like crazy, and I would use those abilities for the benefits of the United States Air Force. But if I didn't have to be Torpedo, I would coach, because I know I'm not the guy for that. Okay, there's other people who are better at that. This is where I would use my extensive leadership training techniques and try to impart some wisdom and maturity into the person who had it. And it's kind of like the difference we see between Michael and Mickey is the sort of wisdom and maturity piece of it. So that's what I would work on.
If I were to get it this late in life, this stage in life,
my hamstring.
I would first make sure to limber up, do as many mobility exercises as I could, and I try to get to a level of proficiency with it. And very similar to Jarrod, I try and help out the younger folks with it because they wouldn't want me in the field. I'm older. I wouldn't be field worthy, but I could probably train some people to at least achieve that level of proficiency to get to a position where they're better than me. And if I did that, I'd be absolutely pleased as punch with it. And yeah, that'd be a cool thing. Man, if Air Force weaponry ever evolved to that point, I would be simultaneously impressed but a little bit scared at the same time. Like, I mean, do we need an 18 or 19-year-old with like the power of like 150 mile an hour wind gust in his or her fist? I don't know. But that was not the question that was being asked, by the way. So anyway, we should rate the book. One,
I want to toss this out there real quick. I think I'd make a better culp than a cat, and I want to see if anybody in the chat gets that. I'd be a better Robert Culp than a William Cat.
I didn't get
Good
it.
luck,
It's
chat.
probably is it an Airwolf reference?
No, but you're close.
Went with the territory, man. What I thought it was going to
neighborhood.
be. So we'll see if somebody replies to that in the comments, but let's rate the book, Jarrod, 1 to 10. What would you rate New Warriors 35?
For a wheel spinner, it's not bad because it still develops characters. It's an issue you could probably miss and still be okay. Guest artist, all that to say, I'm going to go with a 6. It was fine. It was slightly above average. I wasn't mad about it. It was filler, but it was filler I wasn't mad about.
I posted a comment that you might be interested in by Auburn Elvis.
Correct.
The answer to
and
those
Kathy gets it too because she's quoting from the theme song.
To those listening is The Greatest American Hero, of which I remember the theme song, to no one's surprise, but I don't know if I ever watched. I remember kind of watching the show and like the guy would fly everywhere and like come into the scene falling all over the place, but that's all I remember from the series. Believe it or not, I'm at an 8. I thought that the action was.
I'm at an 8. Did you do it on purpose?
I didn't. I actually did not.
I think it was an incredibly good segue.
It like sometimes it's good when you're unintentionally funny, and that was the case. I was not. I did see Auburn Elvis say like, "Believe it or not," but like I didn't. I'm at an 8. I think that we'll see. This book might have some ramifications and consequences that we just don't know about yet. Maybe the Namorita thing, maybe the Turbo thing, maybe the Night Thrasher thing, but it was Fabian was very good at that. And we've seen that. Like next issue, we will have discussed 3 years worth of New Warriors, Jarrod, if you can believe that or not. Again, no pun intended. But we've talked 3 years of New Warriors plus a couple of annuals, plus 3 annuals. So Fabian does a good job of planting his Easter eggs and setting up the next story arc, and he has done that. So I'm going to give it a retroactive 8. Maybe in the moment I would have given it about a 6 or 7, but
okay, interesting.
But seeing what I've seen from the book, I'm going to give it an 8. Let's see. I think that we have a couple people commented on their scores too. Matt Paso says a 6 is a fair score. And Jason Lady added, nice downtime issue. He would say a 7. And while the chat discusses The Greatest American Hero, that is the show. Please come back and join us for the next episode where we discuss New Warriors 36 and we find out what's going on with one Vance Astrovic. You remember Marvel Boy? That dude that's in the clink? Him. We're gonna talk about him. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, us being Longbox Crusade, Google Play, most podcatchers to include Spotify, at www.longboxcrusade.com, Twitter X, Longbox Crusade, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, all Longbox Crusade on Patreon. If you would like to join us for our Crusaders Club, $1 a month will get you there. We're grandfathered in, y'all, and we ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So if you want to join us at $1 a month, that's fine. And Jarrod has not come up with any kicker if we get to 50 members, but I'm sure he's got something brewing in that demented head of his.
We'll watch something that's considered terrible. Maybe we'll do Batman and Robin.
No.
Matt and I did a podcast about it already.
I know. Yeah. Y'all have already tread that ground, and I'm good. I've only seen that. I've only seen that movie once. Yeah. Find something. You have watched many, many, many bad movies, so you would know. YouTube, please like us and subscribe there too. We're looking to increase those numbers. We just got over 300, y'all, which we're proud of, by the way. But we would love for it to be 400 sooner rather than later, and maybe 500, maybe 1,000 one day. Who knows? You can email us as well, contact@longboxcrusade.com, and the number scrolling across the screen right now. You can leave a voice message as well, 707-532-LBOX, 707-532-5269. Heard enough that I memorized it, and Jarrod now is going to give us some info about where he can be found.
Pick up the phone. I can be found at lots of different places, but before I tell you that, I'm going to do something that I've only ever done on Aaron Moss's Real American Headcast G.I. Joe. Sometimes I'll offer specials on the art stuff that I have going on to people who are watching, and I thought it would be fun to try that here as well. Absolutely no pressure. I went to a comic shop, went through an 80-cent bin, and I came up with 2 of these blank Captain America covers. And if you follow my social media, which is at Yard Sale Artist, you'll see yesterday I finished doing a drawing of one. That's my art right there on the cover. I tossed it out there for $50. But if you are a watcher or listener of this show, you can hit me up at Yard Sale Artist X, Facebook, Instagram, and you can get it for I give you $15 off, $35. This is a little special for people who watch. I thought this is a little perk I do over at the Headcast. I'm like, why don't I do it on our own show? Let's give you guys a perk and a benefit. So I don't mean to come off as pushy. I don't need to. I'm not begging to sell this. I'll take it with me and sell it at a con if I need to. But I figured I'd give you guys a special. So I'm at Yard Sale Artist on X and Facebook and Instagram. Delvin.
Twitter X, DEE_RAY1977. Instagram at Delvin Ray. Let's see. Before I go, are there any comments? Yeah, we can talk about Jason Lady's comment, who recommended the 1990s Captain America movie. Said
well, guess what?
He was. I was watching that comment as you are shilling your wares.
I think he's right though. That would be a good one. The 1990 Cap. I like that. Well, Jason, either that or the Nick Fury from the Fox movie channel. One of the two.
Wasn't David Hasselhoff Nick Fury?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So I mean, we're talking theoretically, but get us up to 50 and something will happen. I'll just say that much. Thank y'all all for showing up. And remember, be a hero to someone, even if it's just to yourself. Until next month. Jarrod, you got more bottles? There they are.
Forgot where I put them.
New Warriors. Come out to play. Good night, everybody.
See you, everybody.